a 50-year-old baby with a surprising set of powers, a mysterious backstory, and an adorable father-son relationship. And what does the Book of Boba Fett mean for The Mandalorian Season 3? Here is Baby Yoda's entire timeline finally explained. Star Wars fans have long reconciled themselves to the fact that they will never learn the name of Yoda's species, nor his planet of origin. This was because George Lucas didn't know and quite enjoyed not knowing, so we don't get to find out either. Keeping Yoda's origins a secret was a firm rule at the original Lucasfilm, one that the Mandalorian showrunners Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have carefully respected. We've seen one other example of Yoda's species in canon. Yaddle showed up in a plethora of comic books and made a non-speaking appearance in The Phantom Menace. So we don't know if Yoda's signature form of adjective-first speech is a tick of the species or unique to the 900-year-old Jedi Master. Grogu babbles and gestures to Mando and can communicate through the Force to other trained Jedi, but so far regular people can't have a conversation with the little guy. But as for where Baby Yoda came from, our sources are limited. We can calculate Baby Yoda's birth date by counting backwards from the year The Mandalorian takes place in the Star Wars timeline, which is 9 ABY, or after the Battle of Yavin. That's after Return of the Jedi, but decades before The Force Awakens. Furthermore, when Mando takes the job to bounty hunt Grogu, his client announces that the asset is 50 years old.
Wait, they said 50 years old.
From there we can deduce that Grogu was born in 41 BBY, or before the Battle of Yavin. Not such a baby after all. Since we don't have any clues about Grogu's parentage or home world, we have to guess about his early life based on our understanding of how the Jedi trained little ones during the Republic era. In Season 2 of The Mandalorian, Baby Yoda tells Ahsoka Tano that he was raised in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. That fits with what we know about the Jedi from The Phantom Menace and the Clone Wars series. Since acceptance to the Jedi Order was considered a high honor, parents willingly gave Force-sensitive children, no matter their species, over to the Jedi for the rest of their lives. The kids were schooled in how to manage their emotional attachments to maintain their focus on serving the galaxy. So the transfer usually happened while they were toddlers. As a result, Jedi seldom remembered their family members. We don't know whether the child was discovered by the Jedi or just showed up on the temple's doorstep one day in his floating egg. Regardless, his early years were probably dominated by group training with his fellow younglings. Grogu likely practiced with a tiny lightsaber and wore an impossibly adorable helmet while doing so. Maybe he was even a Padawan, but his lack of a braid indicates that he never reached this stage. As depicted in Revenge of the Sith, Order 66 was Emperor Palpatine's false proclamation that the entire Jedi Order was made up of traitors. In the beginning of the Jedi's extermination, Palpatine pulled this off by having inhibitor chips planted in the heads of the clone soldiers. When he issues Order 66, the clones' former generals suddenly became their targets. Somehow Grogu managed to survive. We don't exactly know how. Ahsoka deduces that Grogu was hidden and taken from the temple, but after that, his memory goes dark. Since Grogu's memory went dark, we have no idea who rescued him from Order 66. We also have no idea what happened to him in the decades between the Jedi Purge and the beginning of The Mandalorian. There's this big empty space that Star Wars fans are confident that Filoni and Favreau have already filled. Basically, we'll see it when we see it. Part of the mystery of the early episodes of The Mandalorian revolved around why the child was being hunted so relentlessly, and who was after him. Glimpses of a cloning facility and talk of midichlorians throughout The Mandalorian strongly indicate that the chase was connected to a Sith program initiated by Palpatine. We're still wondering how Palpatine learned about Grogu's existence, but at some point the child wound up in the custody of a group of Nikto mercenaries on Arvala 7. A high bounty was set on the child's head as someone connected to the Fallen Empire was extremely interested in his powers. Bounty hunter after bounty hunter besieged the Nikto compound, but none succeeded in escaping with the quarry until a Mandalorian showed up. Din Djarin, the Mandalorian who rescued Baby Yoda, was once a child in danger himself. Just like their ancient enemy, the Jedi, Din Djarin's sect of Mandalorians was mostly destroyed and driven underground by the Empire. Mando was initially mystified by Grogu's powers, but came to bond with his bounty in that floating stroller pod. While the Jedi were in the process of rebuilding, the children of the Watch remained hidden. Our Mandalorian found himself striving to abide by the rules of one culture while trying to understand the other, all while on the run from the agents seeking Grogu, as well as his fellow former bounty hunters. For whatever reason, Baby Yoda bonds with his captor. Thus we see the former Jedi youngling risking his own safety to rescue Mando by using the Force. It's a beautiful, if muddy, moment. A crucial moment took place in The Mandalorian at the end of Season 1, and it was void of explosions or lightsabers. Instead, the matriarch of Din Djarin's clan, the Armorer, declared Din Djarin and Grogu a clan of two, and charged Mando with finding a way to reunite the child with the Jedi. Now, it was Baby Yoda's turn to attempt to inhabit two ways of being at once. Raised as a Jedi and claimed by the Mandalorians, he started to become more and more comfortable striking out on his own and using the Force in small ways. Everyone knows that the whole of Star Wars rests on father-son relationships, and by extension, the importance of family units. The union between Mando and Grogu is the photo-negative of the twisted, possessive relationship that Emperor Palpatine forged with his apprentices and tried to force onto Luke Skywalker. What Palpatine failed to consider, though, was that Luke was willing to hand over his own life for the father who repelled him. The relationship between Baby Yoda and Din, on the other hand, was marked by sacrifice and self-risk from the beginning. The 5th episode of The Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 13, The Jedi, was rife with meaning. In it, the Clone Wars favorite Ahsoka Tano showed up for the first time in live-action form, and Baby Yoda became extremely communicative.
Is he speaking? Do you understand him?
Recognizing another Force-sensitive person trained as a Jedi, Grogu communicated his name and part of his past to his new Auntie. This was highly significant for Din, who had refrained from renaming his foster son.
Grogu?
It was Ahsoka who related what we know of Grogu's background to Din in the audience. But as she did, she also reinforced a piece of the Jedi dogma that came under much scrutiny in the Clone Wars, and that's the tenet that Jedi must place the good of the universe before personal relationships. Ahsoka saw firsthand that Anakin's unhealthy relationship with Padme led to his downfall. As a result, she rightly refused to train a Jedi who was out of the temple and deeply devoted to a single living being. If there's one truth in the Star Wars universe, it's that peace and quiet don't usually last for much longer than an establishing shot. So, as we watched Mando striding about the galaxy in his shiny armor with his son, we waited for the catch. As it turned out, Din would lose his old green baby and his ship in a single episode, just as he made contact with another Jedi while Boba Fett watched. Because Baby Yoda was deeply connected to the Force as he meditated, former Imperial officer Moff Gideon's Dark Troopers were able to track him down and capture him. The initially fun visual of watching Grogu toss stormtroopers about in his cell was quickly sobering. It was then that it became clear that this midichlorian-rich child did not properly discern the difference between the dark side of the Force and the light side. In the Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian, aptly called The Rescue, Din Djarin rescues Baby Yoda, captures Moff Gideon, and stalks to the deck of the ship. He carries a child in one hand and an ancient Mandalorian weapon, the Darksaber, in the other. However, the Mandalorian doesn't get to hold on to Grogu for long. Following the arrival of a certain X-Wing, Baby Yoda finds his Jedi mentor in Luke Skywalker, and chooses to leave and train with him. In this emotional moment, Din Djarin sacrifices himself by voluntarily removing his helmet to gaze at his son face to face, meaning that his identity as a Mandalorian is now void. Fans of the show were understandably heartbroken at this particular goodbye. Fast forward to the Book of Boba Fett, and we become privy to Grogu's Jedi training with Luke. However, Luke admits to Ahsoka that Baby Yoda is remembering rather than taking to a fresh round of training, and when Grogu receives a gift of Beskar armor from Mando, the child decides to return to Din. Sorry, not sorry, Luke Skywalker. Surprised by the speed of the transition, Star Wars fans are still processing that The Mandalorian has been reset for Season 3. Still, it was undeniably good to watch Grogu reunite with Mando once again, with the knowledge that they'll be together when the new season begins.